I tried to go live a couple times here. It's not. I don't know what the hell the deal is. They're not letting me go live. It looks like we got one person out there. Let me know who's out there. I don't even know if this is working. I'm assuming I'm live. Well, anyway, I'll just assume that I'm live, and I'll just. Okay, looks like we got Nicholas Bosman. I don't know what the hell's going on. It said it couldn't go live. I checked my data. I looked at everything, and I don't know what was up. This is the third time here, so angels don't fall. Right up, right up. Awesome. Yeah, whatever, man. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm running out of data. There's always that scam to get you to, you know, renew your phone contract early because you know your phone doesn't work right. It's slow. Whatever. I'm assuming that there's something going on. Who knows? Okay, Manuel Godson, right on. Yeah, it's great when it works. When it doesn't work, it drive you crazy. I've been trying to go to work a little bit, and I went to do some deliveries tonight. I went to Walgreens, and they gave me a double order. So the funnest part is when you get all the items and you're trying to check out, and for some reason the app doesn't work or the damn card doesn't work. And so I had the double order and said, well, check out for the first one, make sure it's confirmed the payment. So I did. And then we got the second one, ready to pay for, and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So I called up DoorDash and I texted them. They didn't answer me. And so I'm in line and this guy calls me and I'm like, well, here's the problem. And he's like, well, you can just pay for it yourself. So why are you serious? You want me to just use my own money to pay for the order? That's not a solution. Don't get back to me and tell me that it's up to me to pay for somebody else's groceries. Are you nuts? I don't know. Whatever. So they're pretty tricky, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I spent like I don't know how long in the store getting everybody's groceries and finding all that stuff, and they just had to cancel it without pay because they I don't know. I guess they can't figure out how to do double orders. Whatever. So yeah, I've been having one of those days, and technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, it sucks. When I went up to the hospital for my last X-ray, there was a dude in line, and for some reason they couldn't find him in the system. Right, the computers are down. He was sitting up there for like 40 minutes, man. I mean, it's like, gosh, Well, anyway, so we're gonna talk about gang stalking, and let's see here. In case you guys are wondering why I erased some of the live streams, I'm not going to tell you. But I've had that. I've had my moments. And last night I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm not even going to tell you the stuff that was running through my head. But I've considered just deleting the whole channel before when this crap happens to me. But you know what? I like you guys, and I like hanging out with you, and it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with anybody on the channel. It's not that. It's other things, and I'm trying not to let it get to me. And I'm gonna try and stick with this, but it gets frustrating. It does, and there's a lot of people out there that they want to stick their fingers in this whole targeted individual community, and they have. We talked about that the other night. You want to reach out and connect with people, and you got the covert little, fake targeted individuals that come in. And I know a lot of them, and I've been dealing with them for the last 3 years, and they're annoying. They are. And you know what? It's just part of the game. It's part of the game. And in fact, I'd like to throw a prayer out there for Josh Waz. He's been kind of interacting with me in the comments, and he said that he's having trouble with his other job, his last job, and I think he's thinking about leaving or something or quitting. And I don't know. I just like to throw a prayer out there for Josh. We pray, Lord, that whatever attack is coming against Josh, that it would be stopped, and that these people would back off. That the voices and the V2K or the demons that have been harassing him would back off in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and that that we would all be restored to sanity, because this demonic harassment tortures our minds, and that we would be taken into a place where we have a sound mind, and these demons and these people influenced by them would leave us alone. If they would leave Josh alone, and that he would find a job that he would be able to stay with, and a place in society, and to find peace in the name of the Lord Christ. And I care about you guys. And I don't like it when I hear things like that in the comments. It bothers me because I know what it's like. And we talked about that last night. There's an onslaught that happens to targets. And you've got that little, that 2 week commonality, whether or not that's always involved, it doesn't have to be. But a lot of times it is. But the point is that you have this labyrinth over and over where people will be assaulted and harassed and gaslighted. Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then you do everything you're supposed to do. Whether you've got character defects, or you got some kind of addiction problem, or you're trying to stay at a job, or you're trying to keep your morale up, or they gaslight you into some other little game that you got to play. But then what happens? They always come in, and they come in incrementally. They come in from all angles. It's a multifaceted attack. It wears down the target, and they take you on that roller coaster. You go up and down, and then finally you just run out of patience. You don't know what's going on. You're ready to kill yourself. You're ready to kill other people. You're going nuts. And then you go on the run. You got to go somewhere else, and it starts over again. Or you just, you go through that cycle, however it works. Maybe you're still at the same job, but you come to the end of your patience. You just feel like giving up. And like I said, we put that prayer out for Josh, but it's for everybody. It's for me. It's for you, whoever you are listening, because we come to the end of our rope a lot. And it's always the same when it comes to gang stalking. They come in, they harass, whether you're dealing with all the noise campaigns, or you're dealing with people driving by, the loud stereos, the comments, the street theater, the smirking, the directed conversations, the games, the nightmares, and it has its effect. It takes its toll. I'm going to go back into the comments here. All right. Yeah, we want Josh to be strong. We want him to make it. I don't know if he's going to watch this or not, but if nothing else, he should get a notification, I would imagine. Looks like Nicholas Boserman, you're going to try Uber. I like talking to people and driving my car, so I'll be right there with you. You're just not going to play the food game. Right on. Well, that'd be cool in Reno. I don't know. I mean, I've been through Reno. I thought about moving to Reno. In fact, that was one of the places that I picked that I was going to head to. A lot of people don't go to Reno. I thought it was pretty cool. I wouldn't mind going to the desert. I just don't want to go, down to Vegas where it's hot. I know it gets hot up in Reno, but it's not as bad. Plus, they got some good fishing and stuff like that up there. But the only thing I would worry about up there, Nicholas, is going out late at night. Hopefully, you're not going to play that game with all the partying and the gambling and everything. You might get some, because I think you're crippled as far as I remember. Sometimes I miss details, but I want you to be safe. And I don't want you to get COVID. Maybe you should get some N95 masks or something. But you know what? I'm going to leave that up to you. I wear masks while I'm at work, and people don't like it. They can kiss my butt. I'm not getting it again. Last time I took off my mask, I literally caught COVID immediately. So it could be some, post-traumatic stuff going on there. But it was brutal. And if you've been watching this channel long enough, you'll remember. Man, I was sick forever from January to the middle of March. Sitting around reading obituaries of all the people that I know that are dead from COVID, being suffocated. Then I had to deal with long COVID after that. Didn't get my sense of taste and smell back for like a year. Then I had lung problems. It's no joke, man. It's no joke. That shit's real. And there's just some things going on there. But yeah, I'm thinking you're gonna like it, man. There's a lot of money to be made. And that's another reason why I wanted to go up to Reno because you got a lot of stuff up there, man. People are going to be taking cabs. Yeah, you could make bank, bro, for sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, it looks like Nicholas tried to do the dashing. Yeah, yeah. It's good when it's good. Hi, Bora Bora. Well, angels don't fall unlike Uber. I don't know. I like any job that I can make money at and be my own boss. That's what I like about it, man. And if you get sick, you don't have to, try to get days off with your boss and play that game. That's another thing that really is annoying with a regular job because things happen, or you get hurt at work or something. I've had that happen before, and they'll screw you around. And then workman's comp is a pain in the ass. Well, I don't know, whatever. So let's see here. Yeah, I ain't even gonna mention that dude. Okay, it's taking me a while to get through the comments. I'm a little slow. Bear with me. It's been a strange couple days, but I'm not complaining, man. The perp car brigade followed Nicholas across Nevada, so I stopped running and went home. Yeah. they they love it when you run, man. They love it. There's no point in it though. Really isn't. They want you to spend all your money. Well, it looks like holy water. I've just asked for a yearly salary review, and my whole company has been provoking me to act out. Well, they do that. Targets are provoked, and then of course you're going to be accused, and they call you out. And yeah, it's a nightmare. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Bora Bora says she wears a mask too. I would recommend you do because who knows what they're going to let off the chain next anyway. That was just a run through. That was just a dress rehearsal for what's coming, man. And who knows when they're going to let that stuff off the chain. Oh, and if I'm pretty sure I got it in the playlist. Dr. Fleming, testimony under oath, COVID crime. Watch it. If you think you know what's going on and you don't know that, you don't know anything. People, yeah, they're uneducated, and I've got all those things up there. Plus, Dr. Horowitz, I'm pretty sure, which talks about the origins of AIDS and Ebola. Okay, these things are not just in the environment. The man did not get AIDS did not come from monkeys and people getting together, and having sex. Okay, that's baloney. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Okay. Well, looks like angels don't fall as an entrepreneur. You got your own businesses, huh? Wow, that's cool. I wish I could say that. Lori, evil minds that plot destruction. It's a good comment. And they always do, don't they? Yeah, they do. Boroboros says sometimes it feels good to vent. Yeah. Yeah. Every now and again you get away with it. But every now and again they'll use it against you too. So anyway, all right. The labyrinth of gang stalking, something that targeted individuals deal with. They live in it. In fact, you've always lived in it. You just didn't know it before. And that's the beauty of this thing. I've talked about that before, that this thing has been there the whole time. There may have been some altercations, or not altercations, some alterations to it, and we've talked about that. A lot of targets will say that everything kind of ramped up in 2012 or 2013. I think that's interesting because there's a lot of people out there that keep saying that. And there's a lot of targeted individuals that keep running across their videos where my targeting began in 2012 or 2013. And that's interesting. Something's going on with it. I don't know what, but something is up with that. And there's a lot of different mechanisms. There's a lot of different ways that gang stalking can happen. I've talked about that before. And it goes from the top down. And in fact, I was even watching a documentary of Unaverage Joe. He's got on his channel. It's pretty cool. It's done well. Pretty cool vid. And these guys are trying to explain gang stalking and so on and so forth. And there's always the same dilemma. I'm not criticizing anybody or that video. I think it was good. There was a mixture of technology and the spiritual dimension. Absolutely. I think they did a pretty good job of it. But a lot of people get confused and they forget that. And it's the same with prophecy and eschatology. When you get into the biblical stuff, coincidentally, it's all the same. The people kind of compile different things based on presuppositions and disinformation, and they've got a horrible, incomplete, imbalanced picture. It's basically all you're dealing with. You get people who go on one side or the other. It becomes imbalanced. Some people will hyper focus on the Freemasons or the witches or the covens or the government or secret programs. And then other people will go too far into the witchcraft and the demons, and they'll forget that there are foot soldiers. There are governments. Okay. There are authorities and fraternities and social cliques, and all those things are mixed together. And really, if you don't understand all that, the logistics of this are going to be screwed up. And I mean, it's hard enough to deal with this stuff. It's hard enough to logistically put these things together. And of course, there's going to be a lot of mystery involved in these things because we don't have all the information. We know things going back in history. We can see what happened, for example, in the Garden of Eden. And we can also see what happened in the Genesis 6 account. We know all those things are real. And then we can see what happened, when that technology was resurrected, that was dispensed out to mankind in the Genesis 6 account. A lot of people will say, oh, come on, demons. Come on, it's all computers. And I could tell it's a chat bot or something. Okay, fine. I believe you. Okay, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Even if there is a supercomputer somewhere in some type of cave or underground facility in cryogenic liquid nitrogen to keep it cooled, working at, computing power that we don't even understand, they got it from them. Okay. And technology didn't just happen. And it's something that we've seen over and over through history. And somebody will dig some of this stuff up and they will find it and say, whoa, this was advanced. We weren't supposed to have this stuff yet. This doesn't fit the archaeological record. Well, it doesn't, does it? Or does it? right? And then they'll come up, well, maybe it was Atlantis, or maybe something else was going on. And then you have all these other things that try to come in, and people will try to explain, well, maybe it was aliens. Well, what's an alien, right? Little green men from from some planet out there in a different star system. I don't know about that. And then you get into the cultures, and you get into the kingdoms and the things that you can see in Bible prophecy that line up perfectly. And you get into Deuteronomy 32:8, and you get into the Tower of Babel and Psalm 83. And you can see what happened, and you can see the kingdoms. You can see the beginning of all these things that are interconnected together, whether it's the Freemasons, whether it's the hidden wisdom, the illumination, right? Like in the Illuminati, the Rosicrucians, the hidden knowledge, all that stuff, the all-seeing eye, the pyramid, Egypt, and the beginning of the Rosicrucians before Freemasonry. And they're still carrying this stuff through. And then you get into the hierarchy, which would be the bloodlines, which goes all the way back to Egypt. And then you see all this stuff happening throughout time, throughout the world, in different geographical areas, starting with that significant cosmic geography, the seed of the earth over in the Middle East. And whether it's the flood or the Tower of Babel, or the dividing up of the nations, or the kingdoms, the seven heads of the deadly dragon. And now, well, now we've got the New World Order, and it's evil. It's massive. Okay. There's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this stuff, and it's made up of all the things we just talked about. A lot of people believe it's the kingdom of the Antichrist. I don't. They believe they are. When you get into the polytheism, they believe that stuff. But, the reason I believe they're more evil is because they know who Jesus is. Okay? And they full out have decided to become his enemy. When you get into the book of Daniel, and you get into the 70 weeks of Daniel, you get into the description of the son of perdition, the Antichrist, the beast, Gog, the Assyrian, the lawless one. He didn't even believe in a Jewish Messiah. And the New World Order, well, they know. And you get into some of the other things that have to do with demonic activity. A lot of missionaries will say, well, you get over there in Africa or in the third world countries, there's a lot more people that are possessed. Well, it's just hidden over here. You got a church on every corner. It's obfuscated by psychiatry. Coincidentally enough, gangstalking is as well. You're just crazy. You're hallucinating. Targeted individuals, they're all suffering from a mass psychosis. They're having a persecutory delusion, a delusion of grandeur. They're not being harassed or stalked or illegally surveilled or dealing with workplace harassment or persecution in the neighborhood or community policing or demonic attack. No, they're just nuts. Well, I'm going to go back into the comments here. Okay, go Eagles! Welcome to the live stream. Okay, so you're lining up with that time frame, right on. Go Eagles says, "Come to think of it, her stalking. I'm assuming you're a female, and I apologize if you're not. Between 8 and 10 years ago. Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, Go Eagles. I didn't know. I thought for some reason you were a female, man. Awesome. I'm sorry, dude. Okay. Well, anyway, whatever. I appreciate it. Now I'm not going to forget. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe I got you confused with somebody else. How am I supposed to know, man? you, you, you write comments like a woman. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, oh gosh. Okay. Well, anyway, sorry about that. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we got a bit of a dialogue in there. DeBruiser says, "Is all iterations of Satan willing flesh to carry out his plans, like Christ said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Well, that's interesting. I think that there's an element of that for some of the people involved in Gangstalking, but I'm going to tell you what that meant in context, because I feel like preaching a little bit, if you could deal with it. And that goes into other questions that people will talk about, like when Paul talked about that, the one who destroys the temple, God will destroy. Well, that has to do with, I think that's in Corinthians, and you're talking about, that's in 13 and 17. I'm just going off memory here. And the first people to kill the temple, which Christ said he was going to raise it up in 3 days, he was talking about himself. We're in the Messianic age. And who did that? Well, the Jews were under the 5 successors of judgment. They end up sacrificing to Molech, sacrificing to Baal. All those things kept happening over and over. And they screwed up to the point where God pronounced judgment on them, the prophet Jeremiah. And, the book of Daniel predicted when Christ was going to come, right? 62 plus 7, the 69 weeks of Daniel, weeks of years of 490 years of disobedience, 483 years from the decree, depending on which one you're going to choose, 444, 445, or 457. I choose 457, taking you to 27 AD when Jesus was being baptized. And he told him in John 6, you missed the time of your visitation. You didn't understand because you were not taught of God and of the prophets, right? And what did they do? They crucified the Messiah. They destroyed the temple. What did God do? Well, it's in 70 AD. We know what happened. What else does it mean? Well, it talks about people being persecuted, right? The Christians being lit on fire as human torches, thrown to the animals and the games, all kinds of horrible things happening throughout history. And God's going to take his vengeance out of those people if they don't repent. But when Christ said, forgive them, they know not what they do. Who is he talking about? Well, he's talking about the Romans too, technically. But the Jews, yeah, they were blinded. They had a judicial hardening over them. They were given over to a stupor. And like I said about the New World Order, these guys know who Jesus is. And they have chosen to be as they have. They have a destiny philosophy. I've talked about the polytheism involved. We've talked about the archons, the demiurge, right? And all those things involved in the polytheism and the duplicity of gods. They think that Satan is the good guy, right? Jesus is the bad guy. And they have a rendezvous with destiny to fight the Christ. And when you get into understanding the rapture, and you get into understanding the second coming of Christ and the great tribulation is about to come upon the whole earth, you got to remember those things are separate. Okay. In other words, you're going to have a great tribulation, and then you're going to have a cosmic disturbance and a great and terrible day of the Lord, and then a return of Jesus. A lot of people don't know that. And when that cosmic disturbance happens, when the sun is going to be darkened and the moon doesn't give its light, and the stars, a meteorological event, right? Not the stars. People make fun of that aren't Christian. All the stars aren't going to hit the planet. But it's, what do you call a falling star? It's a meteorite. Okay, come on. It's a cosmic disturbance. And then what? All the kings of the earth are going to be running for the hills. Hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. They know who he is. And they're going to know at that point in time they chose the They chose the wrong side. All the gang stalkers, all these people in the secret societies and the corrupt rulers of the earth, they're going to be running for the hills. A lot of people talk about the hidden, these hidden cities and bunkers and stuff like that. But when you get into prophecy, the earth is going to be shaken so hard. There's going to be such a huge earthquake, man. It won't matter. There'll be nothing more than tombs. No one will escape. Anyway, let's get back into the comments here. Okay. Looks like we got a. Okay. Looks like we got a little bit of dialogue out there. Well, anyway. Well, Angels Don't Fall says it will collapse and concave. Absolutely. Yes, it will. Okay. Well, getting back into the labyrinth of gang stalking, I've talked about these things before. And then, of course, you have the governments, you have all that stuff. You've got the secret programs. You got people involved. You got the fraternities. You got the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, the DHS, the DOD, NATO. You got terrorist screening database. You've got the trauma-based mind control experimentation. You got enslavement through that. You got multi-domain warfare, counterterrorism, organized stalking. You got things like COINTELPRO, MKUltra. You've got warfare, coordinated secret domain armies and death squads, domestic armies. You've got all kinds of things going on here, and yeah, you do have the royals. You got the Astry, Bundy, Collin, DuPont, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Rockefeller, Russell, Van Dyne, Merovingian, and Rothschild or Sinclair. I don't even think the Rothschilds are pure blood, and that goes all the way back to Egypt, which gets into some pretty strange things. And then, of course, you got the subsets of that. A lot of people will talk about the Council of 33 High Freemasonry, which is not to be confused with the regular Freemasons. A lot of those people don't know anything about this stuff. There's a lot of people involved in Freemasonry that don't know nothing about gang stalking. They don't have clearance for that. Okay. There's a lot of people that are involved in some of these fraternities that do know about it, though. There's people that aren't involved in hierarchies and fraternities and secret societies that know about this stuff, and you're going to run into them out there. They're influenced demonically. I think first and foremost, other people talk about the community policing and so on and so forth. Yeah, but it all starts from the top down. Let's see what's going on in the comments here. Okay. Looks like you guys are trying to figure out who the newbie is. Well, if it's a perp, I'll get rid of you. So, anyway. And then you've got the other things we talk about a lot. In fact, I erased some of those live streams. Like I said, I'm not really going to go into why. It doesn't really matter. But we talked about a lot of interesting things. We talked about character assassination. We talked about environmental tyranny, emotional manipulation, propositional tyranny. We talked about a lot of things. We've talked about how this stuff is used to infect the target and to cause dysfunction that mimics mental illness. And that's the biggest battle that targeted individuals are going to be dealing with, because it happens to everybody. It happens to me. It happens to new targets, and it has reciprocity. It's exponential because there's really no getting around it. The thing that you have to realize is that, if you're a new target, like I said, these things have always been there. Maybe it's increasing. It may have gone up. That's why I mentioned the 2012 thing. A lot of people will talk about that. It's interesting. Bora Bora mentioned that there was some type of correlation for her. But whether or not, this stuff started, whenever it did, there's always been manipulation. I think it's worse now than it ever has been, though. I don't think, and that documentary that On Average Joe had, that's a good vid. But, there was talk, back in the 20s and the 30s, and yeah, there was stuff going on, absolutely. But now it's different, right? The whole theory with that video had to do with the police covering up reports of gang stalking, and that's why people can't find evidence of it. I don't know. This thing has been there for a long time. I wouldn't say that there wasn't. I would imagine that it goes back beyond that. My point would be that the activity is increased. My point is that, new targets are dealing with a different, more intense form of gang stalking than ever before. And the sequelae, the effects of gang stalking, are really the issue. To understand what is happening, to understand the motive, to understand the logistics, to mix this stuff together, to get the benefit out of the awakening to this new reality that you're dealing with. Not that it wasn't there before, but now that you are seeing it, you have to process the information correctly, because if you don't, it's not going to work out for you. If you give in to the disinformation, you're going to miss the point. If you're banging your head against a brick wall, trying to attack the fusion centers or hyper focusing on one or the other aspect of this labyrinth of gang stalking, it's just going to feed into the mechanism that is going to discredit you, make you look crazy, and it's going to take other people captive along with it. That's the way it works. And the benefit that people get from understanding the spiritual foundations of demonic harassment in the form of gang stalking and illegal harassment is crucial, because you are headed for a type of I don't know. You're going to be weighed in the balance, okay? And it's not to say that people are justified by works of the law, or that people are justified by their behavior, but you're going to be justified by your faith. And if you don't realize what's happening, and if you don't understand that a lot of this stuff is literally demonic, even the technology, in my opinion, which I wouldn't dispute that there is technology involved in this, you're going to miss the point. If you're a targeted individual and you go through all this hell that people are experiencing, whether it's the directed energy weapons, the V2K, the street theater, the workplace harassment, and you don't see the spiritual foundations of this, and you miss the point of your existence, in my opinion, it's not going to do you any good. It'll be a waste. It'll be grievous, because not only will you be a targeted individual, but you'll have rejected your only chance for redemption and justice. And after that, well, you're going to end up under the wrath of God on top of it. It's not something you want. That's beyond. I don't want anybody to be caught in that. I've talked about that with people before. I've had conversations, but oh no, I don't believe this. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe all that. Well, you haven't looked into it, man. I believe it's the government. Well, fine. Look at history. All you got to do is look into where the government came from. Look into some genetic stuff. These people are related. Look into the 13 families. Look into the hierarchy of power. You want to talk about unlimited resources in the government? You want to talk about money? You want to talk about all these people that are coming after you and how it's got to be the government? Fine. Look into the government. Look where the government came from. Look into the roots of all this stuff. Look into the kingdoms of the earth. Look into history. Look into archaeology. Look into the secret societies. You're going to see this stuff. It all links together. You don't want to miss the point. This is a labyrinth, and targeted individuals. They are the scapegoats of society. They are the ones to legitimize or give credence to psychiatry and to the other agendas, to coercion. They're the guinea pigs that are being experimented on. A very small minority of people. I'm going to go back into the comments. Ocean Size, welcome to the live stream. Do you think when community members or loved ones are given notifications, they are subliminal? I think yes, they appear on the phone, but not an actual physical text. Okay. Well, that's a good question, because obviously you're dealing with people who are activated somehow to be attacking victims that are targeted. And just to break this down a little bit, because when you look at what happens to a targeted individual, because I mean, it's important to understand what Ocean Size is talking about, because what happens to targets, man? Okay, all of a sudden people turn on them, whether it's in their family, whether it's in their workplace, whether it's in their community, whether it's strangers. And the undeniable fact is that somehow there is a connection. Okay. And, even to the point where some targets that go on the run or deal with higher forms of harassment would have to come to the conclusion that these things might even be set up in advance. That's the logistics that you're dealing with in higher forms of gangstalking. And Ocean Size is asking a critical question here of okay, well, what are we looking at here? I'm obviously being attacked by individuals, maybe strangers, maybe people in my family, maybe people I'm working with, people in my neighborhood. What's going on here? Is there some subliminal thing going on? Is there, obviously we have the advent of technology for cell phones. We have different things that make a lot of conscious collusion possible that wasn't possible before. I'm going to tell you this right now. And then, of course, you're going to have people, as a disclaimer, say, oh, this stuff's been around since, and they've been hiding it, and Tesla made it. And okay, well, whatever. I don't remember ever seeing anybody carrying anything around back when this stuff started for me. But you know what? It was still happening. And it was happening before that, too. Okay? And I've gone into how all that stuff works. In my opinion, you want to talk about things that are subliminal? People are dealing with things that are spiritual. Absolutely, it's subliminal. Ocean Size, absolutely. People are dealing with all kinds of manipulation that is not only subliminal and subconscious. A lot of times it's something that they would recognize as maybe even a spirit guide. I've talked about that before, that a lot of people involved in these bloodlines and in the hierarchies of witchcraft and the covens and stuff like that, they get indoctrinated to this stuff when they're kids. But how does it work? Does somebody come up to them and say, you're going to be a gang stalker? No. You're here's the truth. Here's our philosophy. And, that little voice that's talking to you, or those thoughts that are popping into your mind, that's, that's the Gaia of the universe, or that's your spirit guide, or that's your familiar, or whatever. And depending on how they've been indoctrinated, whether they're somebody who's grown up dealing with the Rosicrucian Freemasonry, or the occult, or maybe some type of New Age philosophy, where the energy of the universe is guiding them, or the different philosophies, or whatever, or maybe it's something else. But as far as these people who are activated against the target, which it happens to them in multiple locations, it happens to them in a very coordinated and organized way, and ultimately, I think, like I said, I think you're dealing with things that are spiritual. They are very organized. And as far as technology comes from there. And if there is some type of computer or something that's going on that is controlling people like that, it's definitely something that came from them. And they would have something like that. Have they been giving things to humans? Obviously they have. Look at what's happened in the world. We're riding horses now. We're, talking about, taking a journey to Mars. We're doing things that have never been done in the history of the existence of human beings. Yeah, there's technology involved. Yeah, there's probably things I don't know about, but there's things I also know about. Good question, Ocean Size. Notifications, subliminal, things going on in the psychic realm. Depends on how you process that. But absolutely. And some people, and I've talked about this before, are being activated and controlled. They don't even know it. And I've talked about that before, that, especially when it comes to what Oceanside said about family members, and you get into, different aspects of narcissist abuse and people going no contact. And I tried those things. And the thing that I want you to realize, because it's very difficult to deal with betrayal, whether it's good friends or coworkers you got along with, or people in your community that you used to get along with, or even people in your own family that you would have thought would give their life for you. And now all of a sudden, they've turned against you. Now all of a sudden, for some reason, they're part of this Gangstalking labyrinth that is tormenting you, that is organized against you, and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I'm going to say this. It's like that comment earlier, forgive them. They know not what they do. Some of these people have been taken captive. Some of these people are prisoners. Some of these people, they can get to the point where they're activated, and some of them don't even know what they're doing. But a lot of things can happen. And the one thing that all humans have in common, is that they can be manipulated. When you look at the wars around the world, when you look at how people are turned against each other, and the vanity that is out there, and people are blinded to the truth, right? Well, there's a way that all that stuff happens, right? There's a way that this system that is gobbling people up, and that is turned into, evil forms of coercion and corruption, have come about, even in the form of Gangstalking or MK Ultra or COINTELPRO, or the secret underground experiments, and all these things that you hear about. We don't even know if they're true. I'm sure they're happening. And that's how it happens. And if you're dealing with a family member and you're considering, maybe retaliating or going no contact, I would just say this, man. I would say pray. And I've made the choice to view family members who have been involved in this stuff, or people that I care about, or people that were close friends, or whatever, that all of a sudden this stuff started happening. You don't want to attack the puppet, right? You have to remember who's in control of this stuff. And you have to remember that people are influenced, and sometimes they're even easily manipulated. And that goes into different things that we've talked about before, like the correlation effect, right? In fact, other people have talked about that too, that when the target will come in the vicinity of these people, what does the spiritual dimension do? You talk about notifications, you talk about subliminal stuff, you talk about people being affected, and that person comes around, and then also, what do? Start agitating them, start making them feel uncomfortable. And what's going to happen? They're going to start noticing the fact that every time that target comes around, something is off. Something about that person. And of course, they're going to start throwing thoughts and ideas into the minds of the people to turn them against the target, because that's how they do it. I don't know what's up with that. Along with the feelings that they're having, the emotions that are negative, and then you get the perp, the disinformation, the lies, the rumors. You put all that together, and what do you have? Yeah, you've got trouble for the target. You've got a group of people, a community of people, a mass of people that have turned against the targeted individual. Absolutely. It's a good question, Ocean Size. Angels Don't Fall says the biggest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing everybody that she's a dude. Hilarious. My gosh. Yeah, okay. Boris is the flying monkeys. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay. All right. Well, we're talking about this labyrinth. And like I said before, the biggest problem is the logistics, mixing this stuff together, realizing how this stuff works. And one of the biggest reasons that people in the target individual community can't come together is because, they're just not processing the information correctly. Not only that, but people are a nervous wreck. They're being driven insane. They're being attacked from all sides. And really, the only thing that I know, the only thing that you know, probably, the only thing that any targeted individuals know is that you got to protect yourself. And it seems like everybody's lying. It seems like everybody's got some little part in this. And targets are attacked from so many different angles. They're attacked from people that they would never have ever believed would turn on them. They don't know who to trust. They don't know if it's even possible to trust anybody ever again. But we want to hook up. We want to get together. We want to have companionship. We want to have a normal life again. And we strive to figure these things out. We search. We seek. We plead with God. We try to find answers. We try different methods and techniques to move through the salient landscape, the labyrinth of the targeted individual, to find things that work, to find methods and a type of modus operandi to deal with the harassment. But it's all encompassing. Not only that, it's asymmetrical warfare. It's unpredictable. And the only thing that you know for sure is that you can't control what someone else is going to do. And if you sit around and try and anticipate it too long, you're going to drive yourself nuts. If you think about it too much, you're going to have those associations, because they use that to invade your mind, to give you the mind virus. And of course, that has reciprocity. And you'll just be stewing in that marinade that they have created in that labyrinth of gangstalking. And so you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to process it. You have to have the logistics. You have to mix it together, and you have to know that there's a spiritual foundation to this. You have to plead with God, and then just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And some of that stuff you just got to let go. And some of it, you just have to forgive, whether it's the family members or maybe people that you liked in the past. Doesn't mean you got to be their doormat. Doesn't mean you got to let them bully you. It does mean, though, you have to process the information right. Because if you don't, you're going to get emotional. You're going to get confused. You're going to get angry. And that's what they want. That's how they manipulate you. Okay, I'm just going through here. Yeah, Bora Bora says everybody's true colors show eventually. Yeah, well, and I got you, and then it happens. But the problem is that you know by the time the target figures that out, sometimes it's too late, and of course that's where the trauma comes in, and that goes into the expectations that you have, and I know that it can go to one extreme or the other. I'll either close the door completely or I'll open it up too damn wide. There's got to be uh, a meeting halfway in the middle with everything with the target, whether you're balancing this stuff out or whether you are trying to step out of this little box that they're trying to put you in. And it's you got to do it. Okay, I mean you got to live. And the worst part about it is anybody can be manipulated. And when people start assuming that because their family members might have turned on them, or maybe their spouse, or maybe their neighbors, that now they're working for the CIA, maybe they are. Maybe they've been contacted by some clandestine group working for some type of, secret program for some deep state agenda. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just being manipulated. Maybe it's just that demonic labyrinth. Maybe those little strings are being pulled by spirits. Well, guys, do you have anything to add to this? Anybody out there have a question? Let's get to some of that because I didn't have anything written down. It's been one of those days I went to work and I'm just trying to relax here. Ernie, welcome to the live stream. I've had people be nice and then lead me down a path to trust only them, to gaslight and break my heart. They try to get close, asking, prying personal questions to find things. Oh, yeah, the infiltrator. And Ernie knows it all too well. Yep, they do. That's exactly what they do. In fact, I'm going to read that again. They lead me down a path to trust only them. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, they will tell you everything you need to hear. They will say all the perfect things, and then you'll become dependent. And of course, the options for targeted individuals is limited. You find somebody like that, you're going to be spending your time with them. You're going to be talking to them on your phone. You're going to be texting them. You're going to be thinking about them because you're lonely. You're vulnerable. You're isolated. You've been cut off from everybody else, and certain things come out of that, and it's a gold mine for a narcissist infiltrator, the sneaky perp. Absolutely. Gaslighting and breaking your heart. Yeah, well, that's what they do. If they don't do that, they can't manipulate you. If they can't get you to be offended by the trust that you have given them, to get you to care what they think so that they can look down their nose at you, so they can give you that treatment, they can stonewall you, so they can manipulate you, so they can get into your head, to wrap their little claws around your heart and squeeze it. That's how it works. I hear you, Ernie. I know what you're talking about. And, there's a lot of things that come out of that, too. What happens to targets? Well, it's just that much more difficult for you to reach out again. It's like the prayer we put out there for Josh. One job turns into 2 jobs, turns into 23 jobs, turns into 50. And then you don't even want to try anymore. You want to give up. That's what they want. And that's why protocols work. And that's why your expectations are something that could work against you. And they're good at that because they will deceive you. It's like Ernie said, they'll trick you. Oh, you can trust me. Yeah, I promise. Yeah, I'll tell you everything you want to hear. I'm the person you've been looking for. Right here. I'm your friend. I won't hurt you. Promise. All right? If they do, they'll tell you whatever they have to. They'll do whatever they have to. Because if they don't get in there and do it, then you're not going to get emotional. They're not going to be able to hurt you. They're not going to be able to traumatize you. It doesn't work that way. That's gangstalking. That's just up close and personal infiltration, right? But if you have different expectations going into this, and you know that people, even if they have good intentions, even if they are honestly trying to be your friend, even if they're a close family member, like I said, well, they're just people. Most people don't know about this. They don't understand how people are being manipulated by the spiritual dimension. They don't understand demons. They don't understand technology. They don't understand the ideologies that they bought into. They don't see how blind they are. They don't see the little strings that are attached to them that move them around through this landscape every day. And they do. And now, well, it's just gotten to the point where they're taking them after you. Can you really put your trust and hope in something like that? Well, I don't know. I mean, are they regenerate? Do they have faith in Jesus? Do they really know what's going on? Are they looking for the truth? All these things matter when you're getting close to someone. Why? Because you know who's out there. And you know what is lurking. Right? Well, what's that? Well, it's the familiar spirits, the unclean spirits, the principalities and powers, the puppet masters, of course. They've attached strings to everyone. Who do you think is running this show? And if you have realistic expectations, you can see the blindness, the manipulation, the menagerie, the little carnival that is around you. Well, you'll be able to have more realistic, hopes and dreams, and you're not going to let them do that anymore. And if they do, you're going to know what's happening. It'll still hurt. Hopefully not as bad. Okay, let's see what's out there. Yeah, Angels Don't Fall says instantly gaining your trust because you think that they're a targeted individual. Yeah. Yep. And then it turns and the gang stalker comes out full force. Yep, absolutely. Oh yeah, the information. Angels don't fall says once they've gotten the information, they've been working out. Yeah, they like to play. It's annoying. Okay. All right. Well, anybody have anything else to add to this? We got some good comments there. Gave me something to build on. Like I said, I'm just I'm fishing in the dark here. It's been a long day, and I could talk. I just got to have some help from you guys. Some questions and comments. Always helpful. Just Life says, yeah, it's tough knowing the government is in on this. Well, it depends on what you mean by the government, because there are people in the government that don't know anything about it. And then there are deep state cabals, and there's, all kinds of stuff where they do. People use the term government, and you gotta separate that up properly. I'm not criticizing you necessarily. I'm just saying that that's part of the problem when people start saying the government, and then the people assume that everybody in the government knows, and they don't. It's like when someone gets gang stalked by a cop or whatever, and now all the police are gang stalkers. Well, no, they're not. Absolutely not. There's a lot of good cops out there. Okay. But, the thing is, whether it's the government or the authorities or a fraternity or some, high paying jobs or corporations, guess what they're going to have infiltrating in there? That's right. They're going to have the perps, and they're going to be in there because that's how they do this. Okay. Looks like Go Eagles is moving. Well, good luck, man. Okay. I'm just kind of going through the comments here. Okay. All right. So we talked about infiltration. We talked about a lot of things. The Gangstalking Labyrinth is vast. It's made up of an innumerable amount of resources. A lot of people will talk about that because it's literally everywhere. It is the infrastructure of the world that we live in, and it is controlled from the top down. Well, I guess we're going to end the live stream. Maybe I'll come on and do one in the middle of the night. You never know. I'd like to thank everybody for participating. It's always good to get together with you guys. And I'm sorry that I erased some of those. And yeah, I would appreciate your guys' prayers. Not only am I dealing with some health problems, I'm having struggles like any of you. It's a battle. It's a battlefield. And I'd like to thank all of you who helped support me in the channel, and all of you who prayed for Josh. Hopefully, he's doing better. And of course, I pray for all of you guys. And I hope that these people get caught. I hope someone out there that is listening, that is feeling like everything is over, realizes that's not the case. And if you're that person, if you're someone who feels like you've gone too far, that nothing good can come of this, that's not true. And God has set this up in a way where it can always work out for your benefit, no matter how far you feel like you've gone, no matter if you feel like you've lost your mind. It could be turned around. And God has designed it that way. Be good to yourselves. Be safe.